are going to start with a nigun, a wordless melody. Great to see everybody. Please jump in with your voices. Leslie. Oh.
Welcome everybody, Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, welcome.
As Rabbi Len said, my name is Gitai. It's so good to be with you. I'd like to start off tonight's service.
Gitai is taller than the last few soloists.
So we're going to start off with a nigun. So there are no words, but sing along if you feel it inside. And we'll just sing the melody, okay? Like this. La, 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 la. La 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 da 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 la da 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 la la da da da, just like that. Da 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 la da 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 da. La da 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 la da 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 la da 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 ya da da da. One more time. La da 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 la da 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 la da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 ya da 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 da. Can you repeat after me? La da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. One more time. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da 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 da. Ya da da da. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.
We continue now with page 2. You're welcome to read with me. We are called unto life, destiny uncertain, yet we offer thanks for what we know, for health and healing, for labor and repose, for renewal and healing, for labor and repose, for renewal of beauty in earth and sky, for that blend of human holy which inspires compassion, and for hope eternal promising light, for life, for health, for hope, for beautiful, bountiful blessing. All praise to the source of being. Baruch atah Adonai mekor nefesh kol chai. And now, as is the case every week, I'm very pleased to call our president, Leslie Berger, forward for a few announcements. Actually, there's no... Go to Gitai's.
There we go.
Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom. Is that better? Thank you. My name is Leslie Berger, president of Temple Beth Or. 2 weeks from tonight is Erev Rosh Hashanah. Just think about that. Summer's over, September 1, days are going way too fast. Next Saturday night is Sleek Coat at 7 p.m. There'll be a study session, dessert, and Havdalah. Tonight we're welcoming Gitai on a bimah to playing guitar while Dr. Ray is on vacation tonight, taking the night off. We also have a special service celebrating Hannah Green, Lila Fenton Strauss, Ella and Lila Mayernick on their return, from the trip to camp in Israel. Should be a very interesting eating, a fun time that they had. Thank you to Rabbi Len for leading services tonight. Don't forget to send in your high holiday pledges. Our horn is starting to grow. Rabbi Len is still looking for readers for high holidays, so please contact him. Send him an email at rabbimuroff@tbolm.org. Please bring in your non-perishable foods for the food drive we're collecting. Thanks to our tech team, Phil Carey and Toby Porter. Thank you for filling in for David. Thanks to our ushers, Eileen McNella and Jeff Strauss. And if you're interested in becoming an usher, just contact Sergio. He'd be happy to sign you up. The emergency exits are on my right, through the double doors, and behind the tech table on the left. And I'm ready for the slides. Shabbat readings from Ted and Noel Singer, Rita and Bob Rubin, and the McNella family, and they're all here tonight. Thank you very much. And the live flowers on the bimah are sponsored by the Green, Fenton, Strauss, and Mayernick families in honor of their daughter's trip to Israel. And the oneg is also sponsored by the Green, Fenton, Strauss, and Mayernick families. Thank you very much. Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom.
Thank you, Leslie. If anybody thinks it's easy being synagogue president, you're welcome to step forward and help her, because it's a busy time of year. Thankfully, her boss was out of the office one day, so we had a few extra meetings. I want to let you know that we've been having Torah study on Tuesdays at 7. And in case you're tired of Wheel of Fortune, we study at 7. And we find some interesting kernels. We studied last Saturday morning, and so this coming Tuesday at 7 is when we'll study next. You can get the link in the e-blast. It'll go out on Sunday, or if you want, I can send it to you directly. But then we won't be having it for several weeks, so watch the calendar for the particulars, because there will be a lot of Torah services. And also, I just want to add for Slichot, a week from tomorrow, there will be a service in addition to the items that Leslie mentioned. And Steve Berman, who was here a few Fridays ago, will be doing that. He leads the choir at Temple Beth David, where I worked last year, and Gitai and I worked together last year there as well. So I'd like to invite Gitai up, as well as, and I'll just be calling them the 4 women this week, so if you all want to come up and sing quietly in the background behind Gitai, it's Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu. And their moms are going to join them in a little bit for the candle lighting, not now, but soon, so just be ready. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu is really at the core of our feelings for Israel. We look forward to there being peace, real peace.
Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. All right, let's see if you guys can try those claps. Okay, you ready? Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. Salam Aleinu ve'al kol ha'olam. Salam, salam. One more time, let's see those claps. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu ve'al kulam. Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, עוד יבוא שלום עלינו ועל כולם. All right, very nice.
Thank you. You can come back in a few minutes. So, Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, may peace yet arrive for us. And then the next phrase is Vial Kulam, because we're not praying for peace just for us. We want it to be for everyone. So that is our opening song. Our opening psalm is based on the psalm that's found on page 15, Psalm 98. This is it's Psalm 98, page 15. It's one of our favorites here. And it is based on the tune and music of Julie Silver. Page 15, Shiru Ladonai.
שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש, שירו לאדוני כל הארץ, שירו לאדוני, שירו שיר חדש. Sing unto God all the earth a new song. Sing unto God a new song. Sing unto God and we'll all sing along. All the earth a new song unto God. One more time. Shiru, Shiru L'Adonai Kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash. Last time. Shiru L'Adonai Kol haaretz. Shiru L'Adonai, Shiru Shir Chadash. All the earth unto God a new song.
I think that is deserving of a Zoom round of applause. Thank you. It's nice to hear the music we know in a slightly different way. It is now time to greet the Sabbath bride. Shalom Aleichem, page 24.
Shalom Aleichem, Malachi Asharet, Malachi Elyon, Mi Melech Malachi Amlachim HaKadosh Baruch Hu. Botchem leshalom, Malachi Ashalom, Malachi Elyon. מלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. ברכוני לשלום מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון בום בום. ממלך מלאכי המלאכים הקדוש ברוך הוא. צאתכם לשלום, מלאכי השלום, מלאכי עליון. ממלך מלאכי המלאכים, הקדוש ברוך הוא.
So, I would like to invite Katie, Jody, and Becky to join the four young women up here for candlelighting. The reading is on page 3. You only have to read one of them, and then the blessing is on page 2. One of you could be the designated mic holder, because that mic doesn't work. Everybody please rise.
Okay, so we're reading on page there? Okay. As the Shabbat candles give light to all who behold them, so may we by our lives give light to all who behold us. As their brightness reminds us of the generations of Israel who have kindled light, so may we in our own day be among those who kindle light. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech haolam, asher kitshanu b'mitzvotav, v'tzivanu lahadlik ner shel Shabbat.
Amen.
Stay there, because you guys can see it. Fill the room. Lost it.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. Ya la 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 la. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam Asher kidishanu v'mitzvotav V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner V'tzivanu lehadlik ner Shel Shabbat.
Thank you all. You may be seated. Great to have you all here. We are going to continue our service with Lechad Dodi. It's found on pages 20 and 21. Today we will do stanzas 1, 2, 8, and then rise, face the back for 9. Lechad Dodi, page 20.
Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Kabbalah Shamo v'zacho b'dibur echad Hishmi'anu el ha'meuchad Adonai echad u'shemo echad L'shem ultiferet ve'let kila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Likrat Shabbat Lechu v'nelcha Ki hi mekor habracha Merosh mikeden nesucha Sof maaseh b'machshava techila Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela Lecha Dodi Likrat Kala B'nei Shabbat Nekabela.
Number 8, page 21.
Yamin u'smol tifrotzi Ve'et Hashem תריסי על יד איש בין פרצי ונשמחה ונגילה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה פני שבת נקבלה בואי ושלום עטרת בעלה גם ברינה ובצהלה תוך אמוני עם סגולה בואי חלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה לך דודי לקראת כלה בני שבת נקבלה.
So please be seated. The next thing we're doing is on page 170, but after that, we're going to be marking birthdays and anniversaries for the month of September. So if you are having a birthday or it's your anniversary, you have anything outstanding that happened in September, you're welcome to call out a name if it's not included here. So 170, and then the recognition of the blessings in our lives. May my life be one link in a chain of goodness. As I say the prayers of my ancestors, help me to recall their devotion and faithfulness, their joy and suffering, which are in every word. Holiness is my heritage. May I be worthy of it. Let's read together. May our tradition live in me and pass from me to generations I shall never know, enriched by the truth that I have found and the good deeds I have done. So may I fulfill my task on earth and receive my blessing. And when the service ends and the prayers have ceased, help me to bring their spirit into the world in which I live. May I love God above all and my neighbor as myself, and be a living witness to the truth that never changes. Thank you all. Gitai, we didn't practice this part, but we're going to sing Shehechianu after I read this. Okay, that's how we worked last year. He goes, okay. All right. Then it'll be Baruch Hu, page 28. The anniversaries for September are Ernie and Sue Mitchell, Bob and Deli Harris, Rabbi Mark and Deborah Goldfarb, Mike and Cher Kritschmar, Erno and Charlotte Ross, Jeffrey and Susan Winston, Stephen and Debbie Grossman, Jean and Robin Fox. What a happy month. Cynthia Tessler and Michael Stasny, and Barry and Laura Block. Anyone else have an anniversary to announce? No? I thought you moved your hand. All right. Birthdays for September. Debbie Grossman, Marlene Palmer, Brian Goldstein, Carol Goldmark, Marcy Fry, Bobby Abrams, David Fishman, Joan Dengrove, Christine Gunther, Harry Jacobs, who's right here, Chance Statsny, Kenneth Sealander, Pat Almada, Neil Schindel, Alexandria Statsny, Susan Carey. Hello, Susan, up in Washington. Thank you. William Richmond, Nanda Soria, Donald Henschel, Susan Winston, Donna Berglass Hess, who's also here. Happy birthday, Donna. Danny Morris, Sandra Scharf, Tina Sneward, and Haley Kotkin. Is there another birthday or anniversary or happy occasion? Anybody start college for the first time and they're really, oh, that was in August, okay. Anything else we want to add that's super happy? Yes, sir, Ted.
16 years ago today, I retired.
Ted Singer retired 16 years ago today. Yes, sir. Robert.
Anniversary this month as well.
1 year anniversary, there we go. Anybody else? Yes, please, Madam President.
I have two grandsons' birthdays on Sunday. Zach will be 2, and on the 26th, Layton will be 1.
Our president, because the folks at home can't hear anything that's said in the crowd, our president, even they just need a mic. Our president Leslie said she has 2 grandsons whose birthdays are in September. Zach's is on September 3rd, and Layton, September 26th. So thank you. And they're cousins. Well, I said you had 2 grandsons. There are 2, you said, whose birthdays are this month. Roll back the tape. Okay. Yes, in the back, please. Our grandson will be 1 this month. Thank you. Anybody else have anything happy? Yes, Joyce.
We're able to celebrate with David and Karen Sain visiting us.
Welcome back, David and Karen. Go Washington Nationals. Oh, you like them because, like the Angels, they wear red. All right. Anybody else? You're tired of hearing about my bar mitzvah. It was September 3rd, 1973. All right. Thank you, everybody. Shehechianu. Everyone can join in.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam שהחיינו וקיימנו והגיענו לזמן הזה. Let's hear an amen. Beautiful.
Gitai and I will stay standing. We invite you all to do the same for the beginning of the evening service, page 28, the Barhu.
La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. La 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 la. ברכו את אדוני המבורך. ברוך אדוני המבורך לעולם ועד. המבורך לעולם ועד.
Please be seated. So we have 2 blessings and then listen by Doug Kotler. Around that time, the 4 young women should come forward and stand over there. So page 31. A few weeks ago, I said the theme of this evening is creation. Usually we talk about the creation of the world. Tonight, by celebrating these 4 young women, we're talking about not the creation of their Jewish identity, but a huge step upward. They've enjoyed living here, but like my trip to Israel when I was 18, it really just enhanced my understanding of what it means to be Jewish, and we look forward to hearing how their Jewish essence was changed, if not created in a whole different light. Page 31. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows. Your wisdom sets the way on which time and seasons glide. Your breath guides the sail of the stars, creator of the tide of time and light. You guide the current of day into night as heaven spans to infinity. You set its course for eternity. Praise to you, Adonai, our God, from whom the evening flows together. Baruch atah Adonai Hamari Varavim. Gitai will do Ahavat Olam on page 32.
אהבת עולם בית ישראל עמך אהבת עמך אהבת תורה ומצוות חוקים ומשפטים אותנו לימדת אותנו לימדת על כן אדוני אלוהינו בשוכבנו ובקומנו נשיח בחוקך ונשמח בדברי תורתך ומצוותיך לעולם ועד כי הם חיינו ואורך ימינו ובהם נגי יומם ולילה נגי יומם ולילה ואהבתך אל תסיר ממנו לעולמים ברוך אתה אדוני אוהב עמו ישראל.
This congregation loves the Kotler family, the senior cantor Kotler, who has since been succeeded by his son, the junior cantor Kotler, at their synagogue in Calabasas. Listen by Doug Kotler is next. So young women, if you can come forward. Okay. He's going to sing Listen. You're just going to be ready for the Shema. You were worried.
If you're lost, you feel afraid, and you don't know what to say, then listen, listen to our God. Is there a question on your mind? Is the answer hard to find? Then listen, listen to our God. Listen with all your heart and soul, and with all of your might. Write them and learn them and teach them well, every morning and night. Close your eyes and listen, listen to our God. So quiet yourself, there's nothing to say. Stop all the chatter that gets in the way and listen, listen to our God. 'Cause when the wind and the thunder finally disappear, there's still a voice that you can hear if you listen, listen to our God. You can hear it from the top of the highest hill, from the valley below. It can come from the edge of the universe. It can come from within your soul. So close your eyes and listen, listen to our God. Listen, listen to our God. Please join us as we sing the Shema.
But you should stand near him because there's no mic right there.
All right. Shema Yisrael Adonai Eloheinu Adonai Echad Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Leolam Va'ed.
You may be seated. You all could you could do that without it. So but stand by the mic.
ואהבת את אדוני אלוהיך בכל לבבך ובכל נפשך ובכל מאודך והיו הדברים האלה אשר אנוכי מצווך היום על לבבך ושיננתם לבניך ודיברת בם בשבתך בביתך ובלכתך בדרך ובשוכבך ובקומך ושרתם לאות על ידך והיו לטוטפות בין עיניך וכתבתם על מזוזות ביתך ובשעריך למען תזכרו ועשיתם את כל מצוותיי והייתם קדושים אלוהיכם. אני אדוני אלוהיכם אשר הוצאתי אתכם מארץ מצרים להיות לכם אלוהים. אני אדוני אלוהיכם.
Adonai Elohim Emet. You guys did great. We look forward to hearing you any Friday you want to come and do it. But please be seated and you'll come back in a minute to share about your trip to Israel. We continue now with Mi Kamocha, page 40.
Yadai da 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 yada da 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 yadai da 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 yada da 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 ay 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 yada da 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 ay 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 yada da 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 mi chamocha ba'elim Adonai mi chamocha nehedar b'kodesh nora tehiloto sefer nora tehiloto sefer yabam dai 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 yada dai 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 yadai dai 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 yada dai 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 ay ay yada dai yada dai 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 ay 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 yada dai 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 dai.
Miriam. That wasn't loud enough. Moshe Miriam. Ze'eli anu v'yamru Adonai yimloch leolam va'ed B'ne'emar ki fada Adonai et Yaakov ugalo melchazak mimenu Baruch ata Adonai gal Yisrael. We don't only love the Kotlers, we also like Craig Talman. In addition to the Kotlers, Craig Talman, amongst many of our generation, really brought so much life and warmth and spirituality to our Friday prayers. Hashkivenu, page 42.
השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים לחיים. ושמור צאתנו ובואנו לחיים ולשלום, מה אתה ועד עולם. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים. השכיבנו אדוני אלוהינו לשלום, והעמידנו מלכנו לחיים.
Thank you, Gitai. We continue in English in the middle of page 42. You're welcome to read with me. Grant, O God, that we lie down in peace and raise us up, our guardian, to life renewed. Spread over us the shelter of your peace. Guide us with your good counsel. For your name's sake, be our help. Shield and shelter us beneath the weak shadow of your wings. Defend us against enemies, illness, war, famine, and sorrow. Distance us from wrongdoing. For you, God, watch over us and deliver us. For you, God, are gracious and merciful. Guard our going and coming to life and to peace evermore. Blessed are you, Adonai, guardian of Israel, whose shelter of peace is spread over us, for all your people Israel, and over Jerusalem, and for all humanity. Baruch atah Adonai, haporei sukat shalom aleinu v'kol amo Yisrael, v'al Yerushalayim. Please rise for Vishamru, page 44.
ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. ביני ובין בני ישראל עוד תהי לעולם, עוד תהי לעולם. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. כי 6 ימים עשה אדוני את שמיים ואת הארץ, ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם. וביום השביעי שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש, שבת ויהי נפש. ושמרו בני ישראל את השבת, לעשות את השבת לדורותם ברית עולם.
Adonai Svatai, with God, a prayer to God to help us learn the words from our hearts that should be shared. Page 46.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi yagi tehilatecha. Eternal God, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu ve'Elohei avoteinu beimotenu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel ve'Elohei Leah. Ha'el hagadol hagibor ve'hanora, El Elyon gomer חסדים טובים וקונה הכל, וזוכר חסדי אבות ואימהות, הוא מביא גואל לבני בניהם, למען שמו באהבה. מלך חוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי מתים אתה רב להושיע.
מוריד הטל.
מכלכל חיים בחסד, מחיי מת ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, הוא מתיר אסורים, הוא מקיים אמונתו לשני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, הוא מידו מלך, מלך ממית ומחיה, הוא מציח ישוע. ונאמרת להחיות מתים, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Page 52. אתה קדוש ושמך קדוש, וקדושים בכל יום יהללוך סלה. ברוך אתה אדוני, האל הקדוש. You may be seated. It is our custom to continue to focus on the Amidah. We turn to page 54. In the middle of the page. You set aside the seventh day for your name, the pinnacle of creation, and you bless it above all other days, more sacred than all festival times. So it is written in your Torah, the heaven and the earth were finished, and all their array. On the seventh day, God had completed the work that had been done, ceasing then on the seventh day from all the work that God had done. Then God blessed the seventh day and made it holy, and ceased from all the creative work that God had chosen to do. At the bottom of the page, Baruch Ata Adonai Mekadesh HaShabbat. We're going to skip what I was going to do. Page 56. Find favor. Top of 56. Find favor, Adonai our God, with your people Israel, and accept their prayer in love. May the worship of your people Israel always be acceptable. God, who is near to all who call, turn lovingly to your servants, pour out your spirit upon us. The bottom of the page, Baruch Ata Adonai, Amachazir Shechinato Litzion. We then go to the middle of 58 for a prayer about gratitude. You're welcome to join with me. We acknowledge with thanks that you are Adonai, our God, and the God of our ancestors forever. You are the rock of our lives and the shield of our salvation in every generation. Let us thank you and praise you for our lives which are in your hand, for our souls which are in your care, for your miracles that we experience every day, and for your wondrous deeds and favors at every time of day, evening, morning, and noon. O good one whose mercies never end, O compassionate one whose kindness never fails, who forever puts our hope in you. The bottom of the page, Baruch Ata Adonai, Hatov Shimcha Ochana Lehodot. We end this section, as you know, with a prayer for peace. Shalom Rav, page 60.
שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם. כי אתה הוא מלך אדון לכל השלום, כי אתה הוא מלך הטוב, לכל השלום. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם. וטוב בין עיניך לברך את עמך ישראל, בכל עת ובכל שעה בשלומך. שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם, שלום רב על ישראל עמך תשיא לעולם.
Grant abundant peace to Israel people forever, for you are the sovereign God of all peace. May it be pleasing to you to bless your people Israel in every season and moment with your peace. Baruch atah Adonai, hamevarech et amo Yisrael b'shalom. It is now time for the Mishaberach. It is found on page 253. For those who are visiting from Washington, our custom is to first say the first half, and then I say the words, the names of the folks who are in need of healing prayers. Then I ask for folks from my right to left to add any names. It's very difficult for me to hear exactly what you're saying, so until we have someone to run around with a mic, I'll just let you say them as I point to a section. And of course, as usual, I ask the folks at home to put the names of the loved ones in the chat. And together as a community of online participants in our service, you can know that if you put in a name, others are hearing it, which is really, in my mind, the whole point of the Mishaberach. Again, the Mishaberach, following which the four young women will present. Mishaberach 253.
שברך אבותינו מקור הברכה לאמותינו. May the source of strength who blessed the ones before us help us find the courage to make our lives a blessing, and let us say Amen.
At this time, we ask for blessings of healing for the following people. Shimon Yehuda Ben Tzvi Luba, my friend Joe Green, I think she's watching in Calabasas, getting her strength back from COVID. Eileen Penso-Cohn, Tim and Lori Rosenfeld, Tali Bat Moshe Aviva, Nikki Freeman, Betty Maddock, Janice Frank Weinstein. I think Betty's doing fine. I'll take it off for next week. Rachel Witt and Don Witt, Joseph Glazer and Jesse Schneider Glazer, Donna's father and stepmother. Marcia Mayton, Greg Mayton's sister-in-law. Bracha Bat Leah, my mom. Laura Block, Robin Smith, Lori Wiesel, Fran Strauss, Jeff, his brother is here, and Ruth Hagler, who's a grandchild of Rivka and Shaul. Is there anyone from right to left? Do you have anyone else you'd like to add? Your grandpa?
Edward Zimmerman.
Thank you. Anyone in this section? Thank you. Ellie, do you have someone? Anyone in the back? Anyone in this section? Thank you. Harry? Thank you. Anyone here? Sue Rubin. Anybody in this section? I think you already said it. Okay. Anyone else? Just scream it out. Thank you. Thank you. Thank you. Yes, sir. Thank you. Anybody here? Okay. Can we pray for the angels? Okay. We continue with the second half of the prayer.
Mi shebeirach imotenu mekol habracha lavotenu. Bless those in need of healing with refuah shlema, the renewal of body, the renewal of spirit, and let us say, Amen.
So as the two Lilahs, Ella and Hannah, come forward to that side, I want to say that we look forward to having Alyssa not only direct the school, but more importantly, listen on the high holidays. Let's get our priorities straight. Ariel Goldfarb, with whom I'm preparing this service, she will be on that side 2 weeks from tonight. She said, is it okay if Alyssa does that? I said, I hear she's pretty good. So we'll be doing that 2 weeks from tomorrow. It is now my honor to present the four young women. Take it away.
When deciding what we were going to talk about coming up here presenting for Israel, there were quite a few things that we could have chosen between, but we decided to narrow it down to 4 places that were of the most significance to us. That was Mitzpeh Ramon, a beautiful canyon valley. We also discussed Masada, the Western Wall, and Yam L'Yam, our sea-to-sea trip.
After getting off of our second flight, picking up our baggage, and lugging our huge duffel bags to the bus, the last thing I wanted to hear was that the drive to our next stop would be 2.5 hours. It was around 10 p.m. at the time we left, and after a good half hour, almost the entire bus was asleep. Unlike here in the suburbs of LA, it is pitch black at night, and the only lights visible outside were those of the bus headlights. This meant that the first glance at Israel we were all eagerly anticipating would have to wait until morning. After an agonizing bus ride, we made it to our first stop, a hostel at Mitzpeh Ramon. We grabbed our luggage once again and fell asleep in our respective rooms immediately. Of course, the jet lag got the best of me, and I woke up at a respectable 4 a.m. I texted the girls to see if they were up yet, and they said they were watching the sunrise from over a canyon, and I should come and meet them by going outside and climbing up the mountain. At this point, I still had no good conception of what it looked like outside. So I heard the word mountain and was extremely confused. I was under the impression that we were in the desert. I started my walk to meet them and was immediately in awe. In front of me was what could be respectfully referred to as a hill. The mountain culmit was slightly embellished. After I reached the summit, I caught my first true glimpse of the sunrise. It was, of course, unlike anything I had ever seen before. I still hadn't found the girls and spent a majority of the sunrise gazing at the incredible view. Before me was a massive crater and colors in the sky I had never seen before. This was my first time in a true desert, not Palm Springs, and the place in Israel that I resonated the most with my Judaism. This was the place I could truly envision my ancestors, those that came before me. I felt connected with the earth below me, something I had never really felt before. I found Lila, and Hannah a few minutes later. Towards the eastern side of the crater, there was a waterfall of clouds. Of course, we thought that was very cool. After a few minutes of watching the view, we were approached by an Orthodox Jew. He told us that the cloud waterfall only occurred on a few days during the rainy season, and that we brought him the miracle of being able to see it in the middle of the summer. My first morning in Israel was by far my most memorable, and the place that made me feel connected to my heritage, religion, community, and birthright.
2 nights following our arrival in Israel, we were practically thrown into the Negev with nothing but our backpack, a duffel bag with 3 outfits maximum, and, in my case, a very sour attitude. This 3-night camping trip was by far the most difficult point for me to overcome. I have never been much of a hiker or adventurer because Bugs and I do not understand the concept of coexisting. I have also learned the value of running water, hot showers, and a real blanket because such luxuries were not available during this time. The only driving factor that kept me alive and moving was the promise of Bedouin hospitality, edible food, and most importantly, access to electronic charging stations. Our night at the Bedouin tents was by far the most incredible experience ever. Aside from the fact that I was able to take my first real shower in 3 nights, the most fulfilling part was being surrounded by a wonderfully different lifestyle, giving me a deeper insight into the Bedouin culture. The following morning, we were woken up at 3 a.m. for our next adventure, not knowing that it would be the most impactful experience of the trip. Prior to this specific morning, I had a very broken understanding of the history of Masada. With the help of Lila, Ella, and our counselors, I was able to fill in the missing pieces. I know that many of you do not want a history lesson on your Friday night, so I will keep my summary short. In the year 73 CE, the Roman Empire set out to convert or kill the Jews of Masada, using violence and destroying any obstacle in their way. In defiance of the Romans and their desire to preserve Judaism, the group committed a mass suicide at the top of Masada on the eve of the predicted Roman breakthrough. Obviously, the story is incredibly despairing, showing that the Jews were, once again, standing in the face of death, with no other option than to lose their faith. They hoped that one day Jews would be able to live proudly, and they hoped to give their descendants a place to revisit what they had bravely died for. Their sacrifice was not in vain. Oh, goodness gracious. After the 45-minute climb to the top of Masada, several groups stayed to watch the sunrise and soak in the history surrounding us. Minutes later, we gathered for a morning tefillah, proving that we as Jews will always prevail. During the short service, one of our campers played an acoustic rendition of Here Comes the Sun, obviously very fitting for the occasion. Overwhelmed by the beauty surrounding me and the joy I was feeling with my closest friends by my side, sharing a once-in-a-lifetime experience, I was brought to tears. I know I can speak for both myself and Lila, who spent hours debating with me about who would speak on Masada and who would get the Western Wall, when I say that this was the specific moment where we felt the connection to God and to Judaism that we had longed for. After Shabbat, we visited several sites, including the ruins of an old synagogue. On our way down, we were instructed to find a spot overlooking the ancient city. We were given 5 minutes to sit with our thoughts, our emotions, and our curiosities in complete silence. This 5-minute period was the most impactful experience of the morning, as it gave me a chance to reflect and truly understand what I had just learned. After conversing with Lila about our experience that morning, we came to the realization that the view we were looking out upon was the same view that our ancestors saw over 2 centuries ago. This was the view that they saw when they climbed to the top of Masada in hopes of retaining their religion. This was the view that they looked out upon each morning, fearing Roman persecution. This was the view that they saw when they realized the Romans had reached them, and the view that they saw when they made the courageous decision to die rather than succumb to the Romans and lose their religion. To say the least, it was a beautiful feeling to know that our ancestors so willingly gave their lives for the future of Judaism. They took a leap of faith, knowing that there was a reality where our religion wouldn't continue. By sharing this story, I hope to continue their legacy.
After our long camping trip in the Negev desert and our experience at Masada, we journeyed to Jerusalem. Though the desert was an amazing experience, we were simply happy to be reintroduced to air conditioning, showers, and mattresses. Our time in Jerusalem was our first true introduction to life in Israel. While the Negev and Masada brought us to connect with our ancestors, Jerusalem connected us with the heart and homeland of the Jewish culture we learned about every Sunday at Temple Beth Or since we were 5. After spending several days exploring different parts of Jerusalem, walking the streets, haggling for cheaper prices for Eli's bar mitzvah talit at Shuk's, Lila was not happy about the overpricing, and touring ancient sites. It became clear to us that Israel is a wildly diverse place. Merely walking down a path in Old City would bring you past young American Jews on their birthright trips, praying Hasidic men wrapped in tefillin, rabbis on their way to the synagogue, and Jews from across the world sightseeing. I once heard the phrase, there are 16 million Jews in the world, and 16 million different ways to be Jewish. This truth was indisputable after observing the diversified population of Jerusalem. On our 3rd day in Jerusalem, we traveled to the Kotel, or Western Wall. Upon entering the site, our Israeli counselor Dvir stopped us to say a few words before we approached the wall to pray. He told us the Kotel represented many things to the Jewish people. It was built over 2,000 years ago, the last remnant of Temple Mount, a place for the Jewish people to mourn and pray and connect with God. But for many years, we as Jews did not have access to it. Over time, it became a symbol of the Jewish desire for a nation. Hannah and I, who both fought over getting to speak about our experience at the Kotel at tonight's service, spoke with each other about this before entering. After hearing Dvir's spiel, she turned to me and said, "We're in Israel." Having been quite the obvious statement, I didn't have much to reply except, "I know." Not having grasped her meaning, she repeated again, "Lila, we are in Israel." That time I understood. For centuries, the Jewish people have recited the same phrase at the conclusion of our Passover Seders, "Next year in Jerusalem." What used to be a hope and a prayer and a promise within the last 80 years had shifted. No longer did it express a desire to one day return to Jerusalem. We had returned. Instead, it now expresses our determination to hold on to our promised land. Still a hope, but now one for the future. The gravity of the situation had not been lost on us. We returned to Israel, when for so many years the Jewish people were barred from the sites that held so much significance in our faith. That night, it appeared as though the gravity of the situation had not been lost on any of our fellow Jews praying at the wall. The diversity, though still present, was overcome by an overwhelming sense of unity. Orthodox men invited our male friends on the trip to pray and sing and dance with them, wrapping them in tefillin and blessing them at the wall. Women gathered around the wall, praying and mourning and sobbing and comforting one another. One woman, who I remember very well, was standing at the wall on her phone. I remember thinking it was disrespectful, her daughter standing right under her, looking at her on her phone. I watched for a few more moments as she picked up her daughter and found what she was looking for, a photo of her husband's grave. She showed her daughter and then turned the phone towards the wall and began to cry. When she finished, she set down her daughter and turned behind her to where I had been standing, waiting for a turn. I smiled at her and she smiled back through her tears, responding by taking my hand and placing it against the wall. This remains one of the most distinct memories from my time in Israel, capturing both the unity and importance of our trip. After we finished praying, the four of us returned to our group. That night, as it was Shabbat, we were unable to drive back to our hotel. We walked the empty streets of Jerusalem for about an hour and a half. The streets were beautiful, the sun was setting, and I remember Hannah and I saying to each other that we had never felt more connected. We never really specified what we felt connected to, but we both understood.
After the spiritual experience that was Jerusalem, we were abruptly tossed into the wilderness once again. Yallah, or Sea to Sea, is a well-known hiking trail in Israel that stretches from the Sea of Galilee, or the Kinneret, to the Mediterranean Sea. It is a 4-day hike that includes steep uphill and downhill climbs, as well as a day of intensive mountain biking. This is one of the chavayah, or experiences, that we were able to choose from that occurred about midway through our trip. The four of us had agreed on Yallah before arriving in Israel, and as someone he would probably call athletically challenged, it was definitely the part of the trip I was most nervous about. We took a bus to our first stop and were immediately prompted to change into shorts. We then embarked on a hike through a river connected to the Kinneret, the beginning of our journey across Israel. After this hike, we arrived at our first campsite and were divided into family groups that consisted of a group of 10 of us. We were told we were going to be making our own breakfast and lunches using supplies we would be in charge of carrying. We already knew that we all got along. We had spent about 2 weeks together and all trusted each other well enough to sustain each other for the duration of the journey. Together, we carried a backpack filled with cooking supplies, which pretty much included a couple tubes of salami, bread, uncooked rice, a not so gently used rusted pot, as well as a couple propane tanks. Preparing our own meals in the wilderness was most definitely a bonding experience like no other. We became incredibly comfortable with and relying upon one another, opting to sleep in one line altogether for heat, calling it mega bed. We openly shared food and water, and working as a team for any necessary task. Although to say the hike was a challenge was an understatement, it was by far one of the most incredible parts of the trip. We were quite literally walking in the footsteps of our ancestors, surrounded by the same awe-inspiring landscapes they may have witnessed. The views were beyond gorgeous, and being able to see where we had started earlier that morning was so rewarding. Something about being surrounded by the gorgeous greenery, with only each other to entertain us, allowed me to feel a connection to God that I had never felt before. It was not just a physical journey I was making, but a religious one too. That is to say, there were certainly highs and lows of the trip. I learned to ride a bike 2 months before the trip, upon learning we were going to be biking 30 miles from the mountains to the Mediterranean. I use the word learn loosely. Everyone warned me I was not going to be able to make it. Everyone besides my counselor DeVere, who, upon seeing my skill level, sent me down the mountain anyway, saying in his broken English, "See, bike fine, go pedal." Despite his vote of confidence, about halfway through our bike ride, I was picked up and put in the back of a truck, later being diagnosed with a little break in my wrist by an Israeli doctor. After returning home, it was revealed that it was actually a fractured elbow. But I wouldn't change anything. I can't describe the feeling of conquering a hill that not in a million years would I have imagined I could have done. I genuinely feel that Israel has made me a more confident person. The person I was before Israel, definitely not the same person I am today. I gained the ability to connect with people around me easily without fear clouding my interactions. I forged some incredible friendships that could only come from witnessing their best and worst qualities, which, let's face it, is brought out in anyone who isn't able to shower for 4 days. My favorite time of the day was dinner. After a full day of hiking and very little nutrition, being cooked for was something we all looked forward to. Every night as the sun went down, we indulged in what we would all probably call the best vegetable soup of our lives. Our family group piled into megabed and into our sleeping bags, close together under a clear sky full of stars. Playing games with that group, arguing over who was hogging the blankets, and laughing until we were too tired to force our eyes open were genuinely some of the best moments of the trip. Looking up at the stars, knowing I was surrounded by a group full of Jews, was a feeling I could only hope to experience again.
We wanted to conclude tonight with a huge thank you to everyone who made our journey to Israel possible. Although we've tried, there is no way to put into words how meaningful and life-changing this trip has been for all of us. We have all individually said to each other that we are not the same people as we were before Israel. Not a day goes by without us sharing a remember when moment in our group chat or loudly proclaiming, "Take me back, I miss Israel so much." We made an incredible group of friends who we are all certain will last a lifetime. They started as strangers, but over the course of the trip became our family. Our last 48 hours in Israel were filled with an endless stream of tears because we knew we were going to have to leave a place that had felt like home and a group of people that became a small community. We have never made such tight connections with such a large number of Jewish teens our age, and it was an experience that we will all cherish forever. We, as a group of 4, have become much closer as well, which by extension has allowed us to become more active in Jewish traditions. We have made it a routine to try to have Shabbat dinners with each other at least once a month, and have started listening to our own pre-made Shabbat playlist that is constantly on repeat. Our connection to God and Judaism was strengthened because of our ability to experience Israel together as a group. Our pride as Jewish teens has exponentially increased, and we only see a bright future. All of this is owed to the people who made our trip possible. We will forever be grateful for your generosity and support throughout our childhood in strengthening our bond to Judaism. Thank you to the Temple Board for funding the greater majority of this trip. It would not have been possible without your contribution. Thank you, Rabbi Muroff, for taking the time to talk to us about our experiences, as well as helping us prepare for today. We would also like to take a moment to remember May Salinger, an inspiring mentor and member of TBO, whose dedication to youth education brought us here today. Each of you helped make our dream of going to Israel a reality. We owe our incredible memories, being able to experience the place of our ancestors, and making these irreplaceable friendships to all of you. We are eternally grateful that you allowed us to make this journey to Israel with the company of each other. Again, we cannot thank you enough.
Now we just have a slideshow of pictures that we took in Israel, kind of to share our experiences with you. A lot of the places that we talked about are in there, and we'll point them out as we go through. Oh, thank you. Which button? Okay, so this was Mitzvah Ramon, which is the place that Ella was talking about. Most of these pictures were taken the very morning that after we arrived at 4 a.m. There's Hannah, Lila, and Ella. And there were a number of stray cats in Israel that we found, and were later informed that they were not the nicest after Phil is a nickname that we started calling her on the trip, after Lila sustained a nasty scratch from one of the cats. And this was the beginning of our journey in the Negev desert, which was almost 4 days of no showering except in bodies of water that we found throughout Israel, like the Dead Sea, which was not as cleansing as you might expect. A lot of hiking, quite a bit of hiking.
This was the tallest mountain in Eilat.
That was the tallest mountain in Eilat that we summited.
We did.
We're very proud of Lila for that. That was our camping site, where we received the best vegetable soup in our lives. There's a group of us and some of our friends. And those were the Bedouin tents that Hannah spoke about a little bit, the place where we stayed right before we summited Masada. And here was Masada. We went up at sunrise at around 3 a.m., which was gorgeous but very tiring. And Jerusalem. These were the aqueducts below the city of David, which also are over 2,000 years old. And it was very cool. When you're walking through, you can see the marks made in the walls when they were built 2,000 years ago, and you're wading through water up to your waist. It was a very cool experience. This was when we went down in caves that were built in the time of the Canaanites. And again, in there, you could see the marks on the walls from when they were chiseling out the holes.
We had an archaeological dig that we were able to do where we found, here was an archaeological dig that we were able to do where we found old pottery pieces from the time of the Canaanites as well. And here's a picture of Lila and someone else sifting through to find pieces of pottery.
And then this was our first shuk that we experienced, and also where we bought Eli Fenstrauss's talit. After hours of searching, Lila got very stressed, started dragging us around. I need to find it. He needs it for his bar mitzvah. She was very stressed. Yeah, it did turn out to be a food shuk, so there weren't many options there. We went past about 7 other shuks during the time of our trip, so. Oh, and here's Masada. The Western Wall, the Kotel. And also us and a couple of our friends. That was our walk home. That took about an hour and a half. We weren't aware that we were going to be walking, so we were all in heels. This was the beginning of our sea-to-sea hike. That's us cooking for ourselves, which was quite the humbling experience, as none of us knew how to cook. And as you'll later see, I got food poisoning and Lila broke her arm. Unfortunately, we did have 2 vegetarians in our group who were only able to eat the rice and not the sticks of turkey salami that they had given us. Okay, I wasn't aware that these were added. That is Lila after she broke her arm when we hid from dinner and ordered Domino's pizza because the food was a little bit inedible. And that was me with my food poisoning when I was forced to go to the doctor. This was North Israel, specifically Tzfat, which was, again, gorgeous and one of the oldest cities in Israel. And that is us and a lot of our friends on the port of Tel Aviv. That was us at the gardens, the Baha'i Gardens. That was 2 of our friends and our Israeli counselor, Yuval. And then those are 2 of our counselors, Yuval and Dvir. This again was in Tzfat, and those are a few of our friends and the old streets of Tzfat. That was us before our Friday night service. And that picture over there we thought was very special because it was two Hasidic men who had grabbed two of the boys from our group, wrapped them up into fill-in, and started dancing and singing and wrapping them in a circle for about 10 minutes, which was very cool to watch. And again at the Baha'i Gardens. And that was we got the privilege of going to a concert while in Israel. And on the left side there is a couple of the Israelis that were introduced to us halfway through our trip who spent a week with us. And it was very cool getting to experience and learn their culture. That was us at Shabbat dinner at two of those Israeli homes. And they cooked food for us, which was really, really, really good after having some not so great hostel food for about a week. Oh, wow. And another picture I wasn't expecting. Hannah and our counselor Yallah with one of our stray cats, me and my counselor's Kafia, and a boy being carried to Shabbat services after he fell asleep in his bed. That was us on our last night in Israel. And again, on one of our last days when everyone was very upset at leaving. Very upset at leaving. And just a couple pictures of some of our favorite memories. And the scorpion that came into our room that I did try to kill with my flip-flops. It didn't work out well for me. We had to call our counselor.
Thank you so much.
Well, Lila, Hannah, and Ella, they say that you shouldn't follow a cute baby and you shouldn't try. So I'm not going to say anything because your words will stick with us as your experiences will stick with you. Because I'm a rabbi, I have to say one thing. I think the Masada and the way up and the way down encapsulate your growing sense of Judaism. We went up, when I was your age, the Roman route, because we just had to get there before sunrise. And even though I had hot water poured on my foot right before, it was possible, uncomfortable, but it worked. And I think, and then on the way back, right, you took the snake path, right? And I think we could finish my thought, because I think your experiences sometimes are quick, and other times you have to stop. As you know, I think my generation and older learned the phrase, you have to stop and smell the roses. So I think you've had both kinds of experiences, both here and also in Israel. Some things were just right there and it came on fast. Other things required some pensive reflection. And I'm glad on the way down they said stop. And at key points of my life, it's been the same thing. People said, take pictures with your eyes. So I'm glad they gave you that, because what you shared was so magnificent and deep, and I think it encapsulated your whole experience. So as they walked off, I asked if they can come back on Yom Kippur, but they laughed, but I'm not serious. But I think that we might play snippets, but thank you very much, and we're glad. And the community did well to support you as they did, and we know that this is not the last time you'll be involved in significant Jewish life. Thank you very much. We were going to sing Od Yavo Shalom Aleinu, but I think we're good. Let's turn, I have to get my talit. Please rise for Aleinu. It is found on page 282.
עלינו לשבח לאדון הכל, לתת גדולה ליוצר בראשית, שלא עשנו כגויי הארצות, ולא שמנו כמשפחות האדמה, שלא שם חלקנו כהם, וגורלנו ככל העמונה, ואנחנו קוראים ומשתחווים ומודים לפני מלך מלכי המלכים הקדוש ברוך הוא, שהוא נותן שמיים ויוסר הארץ, ומשה מקרוב השמיים ממהר, ושינה תוזו בקווי ממורים. הוא אלוהינו אמת מלכנו, אפס סולתו, הפטור בתורתו, בידת היום להשב אותה אל לבבך. היא אדוני הוא האלוהים, בשמיים ממעל, ועל הארץ מתחת. עינות, כתוב בתורתך, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. ונאמר, והיה אדוני למלך על כל הארץ. ויום ההוא יהיה אדוני אחד, ושמו אחד, ושמו אחד.
It is hard to sing of oneness when the world is not complete, when those who once brought wholeness to our life have gone, and naught but memory can fill the emptiness their passing leaves behind. I'm going to read the Shiva names. John Emery, the nephew of Mike Kritchmar. I want to mention the name of a friend of mine, Rick Brous, died. He is the rabbi of the synagogue that I attend, where I'll be tomorrow. He was a very good man, and he died. His funeral was Monday. For the Kaddish period, we recall the following individuals: Maria Paulus Osborne, Ellen Hope Tews, Martin Becker, Nechama Fragoso, Allegra Gordon, Cyrus Cheney, May Salinger, Sally Kravitz, Myron Crystal, Molly Abraham, Phyllis Royce, Barbara Milton, Sandy Zwern, David Blochtine, Robbie Bush, Rita Manning, Jack Pivo, Harley Rockoff, and Lily Kramer. Marvin First, David Schwitzer, Lawrence S. Hell, Thomas Sane, Carolyn Nowakowski Sane, Joel Levenstein, Pauline Silberman, Esther Seidman, Hannah Cudler, David Pearl, Morris Stein, Dorothy Stern, Dorothy Perrin, Arthur Krieger, Lillian Pearlstein Muroff, that's my grandmother, who I'm named after, Mac Cohn, Kate Janney Coe, Gisela Spiegel, Jack Lewis Levy, Herman Gordon, and Helen June Fox Kelly. We turn our attention to Betty. Our hearts are with you. We recall your daughter Sandra, son-in-law Michael, and grandson Eric Lertzman. The Mourner's Kaddish, page 294. Yit Kadal v'yit Kadash Shemei Rabbah. V'alma divrach hirute, v'amlich malchute, v'chayechon, uv'chaye dechol Beit Yisrael, b'gala uv'izman kari v'imru amen. Yehi shmei rabba mevorach leolam u'me'ol maya. Yitbarach v'yishtabach v'yitboar v'yitromam v'yitnaseh v'yitadar v'yitale v'yitalal shemei dekudusha berichu le'ela min kol birchata v'shirata tushbechata v'nechamata da'amiram b'alma v'imru amen. Yehi shlama rabba min shemaya V'chayim aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Oseh shalom b'mromav, hu ya'aseh shalom. Aleinu v'al kol Yisrael v'imru amen. Thank you to everybody for being here this evening. Thank you to the 4 outstanding young women. I don't know how you're going to share 3 cups, but you'll figure it out. 2 of you are related, and you're all like sisters from that one big bed. Thank you to Gitai.
Thank you for having me.
There used to be a TV show, Big Bed Theory, I think it was. So thank you to everybody for being here. Thank you to Gitai for having a flexible schedule and helping us out when Dr. Ray is not available. The Kiddush is found on page 4. Thank you also to the Green, Fenton, Strauss, and Marinick families once again for sponsoring the beautiful oneg we're about to enjoy. Are you ready? Is it clear? You can stand by. Gitai, you can hold this, and then you have an extra mic. You'll go.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam borei peri hagafen. Amen. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher kiddushanu b'mitzvotav ורצה בנו בשבת קודשו באהבת רצון הנכלנו זיכרון למעשה בראשית כי הוא יום תחילה למקרא קודש זכר יציאת מצרים כי בנו בחרת ואותנו קידשת מכל העמים ושבת קודשך באהבה ורצון הנחלתנו ברוך אתה אדוני מקדש השבת. אמן. Hamotzi lechem min haaretz, we give thanks to God for bread. Our voices join in happy chorus as our prayer is humbly said. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam hamotzi lechem min haaretz.
You've touched our hearts. We really appreciate you being here, so we're not going to make you sing with bread in your mouth. Instead, we invite you to drink some of the grape juice, and Gitai will sing us out to the oneg with Shabbat Shalom.
Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat Shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shabbat Shalom. Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, hey, Shabbat, Shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom, Shabbat, Shalom, hey, Shabbat, Shalom, hey, Shabbat, 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 Shalom. Shabbat Shalom, everybody.